To the Point with Michael Williams.
Good morning. My guest today, Alfred Fields, president of the West Palm Beach branch of the NAACP. And sir, we thank you for being with us on this edition of To the Point.
Well, thank you. I'm happy and thrilled to be with you today.
I want to talk about what's top of mind to you, but I think it's interesting to note that the branch here really being revitalized about 7 years ago after a long history had really gone dormant, and now it's being revitalized. Talk briefly about the history. What kind of happened then, and what's leading the charge that's revitalizing this local branch of the NAACP?
Well, I can't speak specifically to the history of it. I wasn't involved from a manpower standpoint over that time period. But I did know that there was a lot of the members were aging, and so the branch started to just slowly wane.
As we see with a lot of organizations.
With a lot of organizations, and over the past few years, there was a great need to bring it back. So there were several efforts from all different points of the county working to bring it back, and then we all kind of connected some way mysteriously, and here we are today, back up and running with hundreds of members.
Mysteriously / a lot of hard work. Talk about the need. What is your focus as we look to 2024 and beyond? And what, when you say we saw a lot of reasons we needed to bring it back, focus on that.
Well, as most of us know, with the changes that are being made following the last election, last presidential election, where there was all kinds of things thrown out about voter fraud and so forth, and so many state governments, including our state, who stated our elections were perfect, saw need to find ways to change the laws and rules that governing how people register to vote, how people get to the polls, how ballots get to the polls, and those things.
Restrictions on who can drop ballots off for
Absolutely.
Ballot box restrictions themselves.
So those things impact usually communities of color, lower income communities more than they do others. So we see that as a way of restricting access to the polls.
So I want to ask what you're doing about it in 2024, but I want to back up just a moment, because the argument from Republicans who led that charge is, listen, these rules are colorblind. They affect every voter across Florida. What do you say to that critique from Republicans when they hear your critique? Then talk about what you're doing to make sure you get out the vote this year.
Of course it affects every voter in the state, because all the laws apply to every voter equally. But from a standpoint of galvanizing and getting people to the poll who are less likely because of restrictions, whether it be because of age, whether it be because of economics, whether it be because of distance to get to the polls. Those things affect lower income communities and people of color more than they do others. So all laws may be equally applied to all residents in the state, but they don't apply equally when it comes to those restrictive things such as age, such as
distance from polls.
Distance from polls.
I don't own a car.
Exactly. So when you tell organizations like churches, you can't do gathering of ballots from your members in the church and drop them off for them, because now that is illegal based on the law. Well, I don't think too many clergymen.
Souls to the polls has been an historic, huge effort everywhere.
Absolutely. And now these new laws are impacting those efforts and making people nervous about going and completing those tasks.
Sir, what will be your message this year? What are you doing specifically to push? We've already got, of course, March 19th coming up in municipal elections here in Palm Beach County, but there and beyond, what are you doing to make sure you get out the vote this year?
Our main focus is to educate. And when I say educate, we need to let everyone know what those changes in the laws are. Specifically, those laws that change for those people who receive early ballots. That law has changed so that if you didn't participate in the last general election, you may not be eligible to receive that vote by mail without re-registering to receive it.
And you're going to make registration efforts a key of what you're doing?
Absolutely, without a doubt. We have to, and so the changes in the laws, again, have restricted so many organizations who would normally do those tasks from doing them hands-on. So there's new methods in which they have to be done, such as instructing people now you can just go online and do it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big changes that many people do not know about is that if your signature does not match,
mm-hmm.
then that ballot will be kicked out. And so by the time it's cured,
it's too late.
It's too late.
So education on registration efforts, get out the vote efforts, getting buses to help people get to the polls, reminding them of early voting dates, knowing where they can drop off, knowing what those dates are. It's going to be a big push is what I hear all the way through.
All the way through. We can't let up because not everyone watches the news and follow these efforts, especially when they're trying to deal with their everyday life.
Busy with their everyday lives. I'd be remiss too, and we'll certainly be having you back as a guest as we continue to look at get out the vote efforts across our communities in the coming months. But we're coming to the end of Black History Month, many beautiful stories told, but your perspective, your reflections today. Black History Month is so important, but it's only one reminder of the richness of a community and how we need to remember that and live it every day. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, it's Black American history.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to emphasize the word American history. So many times we talk about Black history, but when we discuss Black history in this country, most Blacks only talk about American history as it pertains to this country, and it speaks to people that look like myself, people of color.
Mm-hmm.
So I would challenge every news organization and every person to now, when they say Black History Month, they use the words Black American history, because there's an attack on Black history in this country. But it's American history, so let's not single it out and try to separate it from American history, because Black history, when it refers to Americans, because I'm American, my parents were Americans,
mm-hmm.
and my grandparents were Americans, so all the history I know is American history and not so much just Black history. But to your point.
Eloquently said, by the way, and challenge accepted. Well said.
So NAACP was founded in 1909 during a time when civil rights for Blacks were not taken serious at all. There was lynchings all over the country. And so there was several organizations and several persons that didn't just look like me, but looked like you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Came together with greats such as Ida B. Wells, W.E. Du Bois, and they formed the NAACP. And the NAACP grew from there, and now it's all out throughout the country. In the West Palm Beach area, the NAACP, I was able to trace it back to around 1937 when one of our notables, Miss Louise Bowie, who is a well-known civil rights organizer and activist in this area, carried and worked with the NAACP and served as the president over 2 terms, more than 25 years. So it's a rich history in Palm Beach County with the NAACP.
And a history that continues in a revitalized fashion with the NAACP West Palm Beach branch. Black American history, part of the great American experience. And I appreciate you taking time to eloquently speak to that and to the other issues. We'll be having you back as we talk about getting out the vote this year. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes for us.
Well, I really appreciate it, Mr. Williams. I will look forward to coming back because we have a lot of conversations I think we need to explore.
Absolutely. I agree, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All the very best. Up next, the roundtable as we focus on Tallahassee and beyond.